out one time.
It is the police call everybody will be talking about. Thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Denise Valdez.
I'm Brian Loftus. A family says something crashed into their backyard, prompting them to call 911, saying they saw creatures walking around.
Our 8 News Now investigators digging into this for weeks now, and tonight our David Sharns with the video you will only see on 8 News Now. David?
Right, Denise, sources telling the 8 News Now investigators that several agencies believe something landed or crashed. Whether it was non-humans or not, it certainly scared the people living on this property. Now, before we show you that video, listen to their call for help.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we're terrified of it.
So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Officers meeting up with the caller and his family.
What'd you see?
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard? Or?
They see like a big, that's what they say. They see like a big something with light.
What I saw right now, I do believe in it.
Police walk into the backyard to investigate, but Metro blacked out that part of the video because it's considered private property. What's clear, they're taking this call seriously.
Hey, this might sound like a really dumb question, but did you guys see anything fall out of the sky?
Asking others what they saw.
I would normally discount it as nothing. However, seeing as one of my partners said they saw it too, only reason I'm actually investigating it further.
That investigation turning up no concrete answers as of Wednesday. Whatever or whoever fell into that yard, long gone within minutes.
Oh, hey. If those 9-foot beings come back, don't call us, all right? Deal with it yourself. I ain't dealing with that.
Leaving the Air Force. I was a navigator in various aircraft, tanker and transport aircraft, flew last in C-141s at McGuire Air Force Base. I was also an intelligence officer most of my career as my desk job, so to speak. And I, in that period, frequently, briefed generals and congressmen on our capabilities and the threat to our forces. Well, I was normally, like I mentioned, a briefing officer, and I would come to work 4 o'clock or so in the morning. And on the morning of January 18th, 1978, I drove through the main gate at McGuire, and I noticed that there was red lights out on the runway, and that probably something was going on out on the runways there because of all the red lights and like police cars and fire trucks and so on. And didn't think too much about it until I got to 21st Air Force Command Post, is where I worked, and I would go in there and prepare a briefing for the generals. I was a Deputy Director of Intelligence for 21st Air Force, which controlled half the military aircraft and flew the presidents and various. My gosh, what's going on here? He says, we want you to brief this at the stand-up general briefing this morning and explain what happened to everybody. And I was like, you want me to tell General Tom Sadler and everybody in the command post that we captured an alien? They had heard that also, that this actually did happen, that an alien was found on the base. And later that morning, I was told that they decided not to brief it in the stand-up briefing. And so I didn't actually. After the briefing, I also went to the photo lab. Almost every day I went to the photo lab because in your briefings you have 4 screens and you have to keep them all filled up with pretty pictures and so on. And there they indicated that they had taken pictures of something extraordinary. And I said, well, let me see them. And the sergeant was handing it to me, and his master sergeant says he can't see those. So all I know is a security policeman who claims to have been out there. And he indicated that he essentially saw a small body that could have been like a child, but it seemed to have a larger than normal head. Now, one interesting thing is many of the key personnel on the base at that time who had a connection to this were quickly transferred from the wing commander on down, indicating that if you knew something, they tended to split you up, so to speak, so you couldn't talk about it. Within a matter of weeks or whatever. Now, the security policeman told me that he was transferred within a few days. Matter of fact, he was taken to Wright-Patterson within the day or two and debriefed by a number of people and essentially told not to talk about it anymore. Now, his story to me was that they heard this going on the radios, and they heard that this chase was on, that the alien had been shot at Fort Dix and they were chasing it towards McGuire. At least for whatever reason, it chose to run towards McGuire Air Force Base, and that both the state police and the military police were, you might say, chasing this person or alien, whoever it was. They came from what looked like a UFO. As I understand it, was this shaped craft. They indicated to me that the UFOs had been in the area for quite some time that evening, and that they had them on radar, and that the tower operator had seen them, and some of the other aircraft in the area had apparently seen them as well. 6 or 8 people guarding the body, and then there was the commander of the security police unit, and then we were told, a few of us in the command post, and I assume that General Sadler yards away from it. Well, I happened to meet a lady, and eventually the aliens did see them, and they jumped in the craft and took off. But I had personally never seen anything until about 1962. We were flying tankers over England, and London Control asked us to intercept a UFO. And we happened to be done with our refueling mission, and we accepted the assignment. We were on the just over the North Sea, and they asked us to fly to the center of England. And we were doing, I don't know, some 400 miles an hour in a dive down to intercept this object. Yeah, this is Briarwood Lake in Medford, New Jersey. And we had just moved into this house. And in any case, we were asleep about, I'm just guessing, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm asleep with my wife. And suddenly the room got very bright in the middle of the night. So I got up out of bed and opened up the shade, but most of the light was even coming through the shade. And looked outside, and I don't know if most people have seen a submarine surfacing with all the water coming off. Well, this was like a disc about 30 feet in diameter surfacing. And what looked to me like water coming off of it. But frequently I had flown the Atlantic and Pacific and so on, and seen the aurora borealis, or the northern lights, and around the craft were this ionization very similar to the aurora borealis. And it just kind of moved across the lake for a while and flew off at a fairly high rate of speed. Now, because of that, I've checked with a lot of the neighbors, and there's, I don't know the exact numbers, but there's like 40 or 50 lakes in Medford and Medford Lakes. And I frequently brought up the subject if they had seen anything. And it's amazing how many people have actually seen craft. Somebody telling a story like this, they'll say, well, he must be crazy that he believes in UFOs. But and they brought this out. When anyone saw anything, you know, there'd be two people. We'll say one has funny hair and looks wild and so on, and the guy standing next to him is a police officer. Well, they always interviewed the wild guy and never put the police officer on the screen. My experience has been an awful lot of policemen have seen these, an awful lot of FBI have seen these, an awful lot of military has seen it. And he might have like, at times I used to carry nuclear weapons. And in other words, I was mentally fit to carry nuclear weapons, but I'm not mentally fit if I see a UFO. Well, this criticism and this ridicule has, I think, done more to keep the story coming out than almost anything else.
There was indeed a solid, structured craft in the air. It was traveling at a phenomenal speed compared to the envelope, as it were, of our own fighters. So jets were launched, and indeed the pilots did manage to close and get a visual sighting on